So I just wanted to jump on here to share some thoughts I've been having around the Christmas season and some of the conversations I've been having with some of my loved ones at the moment. So first of all, happy holidays to everyone. I hope everyone managed to have a good Christmas, although, you know, it wasn't exactly what we hoped for, but I hope everyone still managed to have a good, a peaceful, blessed day nevertheless, and a happy Boxing Day for today. So my family is very female heavy. I've got my mum, my two sisters, and my two nieces. So my family just seems to produce women, and we're all in the caring or helping profession. So growing up, I saw my mum transition through various different careers. She started as a youth worker, then a social worker, and now she's a therapist. My middle sister is a social worker. My oldest sister is, she does drama work and Reiki energy healing. And of course, you guys all know that I'm a life coach and yoga instructor as well. So we were really raised to think about helping, supporting, caring, giving. And that's something I'm really proud of, and that's something I'm really happy about. And that's an element of my family that, you know, I love, and that's something really beautiful and special. However, when we think about family dynamics or patterns, sometimes it's not only our internal patterns that we need to worry about, or like intergenerational. Sometimes it's as simple as this current generation and the issues that we're all working with. And something that we spoke about and have been speaking about quite a lot is noticing how this healer, helper, carer archetype plays up in our various different relationships, us as individuals and also us as a family with people that we bring into the unit. And we've all struggled over the years with our own relationships, both with friendships, partnerships, on being in situations where we help, we give, or we care a little bit too much. So sometimes either boundaries are blurred, or the energy levels are not quite equal in the relationship. So this could be a case of, you know, having a friendship or a relationship where they're really involved with you and your life. So for example, always coming over to yours for dinner, always being involved in family gatherings, being a big part of the family, and maybe you've never been to their house, or you've never been invited over with them, or they've never taken you out for dinner or something like that. Or it could be in a relationship where you're really close and you love that person, but you fit into the role of carer helper and they fit into the role of recipient for that, which is really, really common. It can happen with your colleagues where, you know, you're in a colleague dynamic where you're always the one that's working till 7 to get things done, or if extra work comes in, you're happy to take it on, and they say things like, oh, you're such a good colleague, are you sure? Like, thank you, mate, thanks, mate. And then you're there thinking, did I do the right thing? And I think it's really important to just sort of reflect on that and think about why we have that. I already know, based on like the clients that I have, the students that I have in my classes, and the community that I have here online on Instagram, that I have a lot of people in my network that are that. Whether or not they work in caring professions, I know I have a lot of people that are of that mindset, of that energy around me in my circle. So I think it's something that's quite common, and I think it's something that we really need to work on changing for 2021. If we are a helper, healer, carer, doer, someone that does above and beyond, someone that often has unbalanced relationships, someone that often does give out more than they receive, why is that? How can we make a change for that? Because it's quite easy for me to turn around and say, oh my gosh, like this relationship that I'm working with is unfair, it's unbalanced, and at the end go to burnout, because that's what happens eventually, doesn't it? We give, and then we burn out. Maybe we reset and start again and go into that toxic dynamic. Maybe we end up cutting off with that person completely. But ultimately, there's a reason why we end up in that dynamic. So for me, although I love supporting and caring and helping people, there's a reason why I do it. Sometimes it really just is because that is what I feel is part of my journey, and that's what I believe I'm here to put on earth to do. But other times it's because it makes me feel valid. it makes me feel like I have a purpose rather than it purely being my purpose. Sometimes it distracts me from my own problems. It was, quite easy for me during BLM to get out there and fight and be an activist. It was probably easier to do that and try and help and everything where I could than to sit back and process my own feelings about BLM. So I had to really fight to do that. So not only do I have to look at, the types of relationships that I've had like that I've attracted in my life, but also why am I attracting it? What is it about me or anyone who's in that common dynamic to help, to heal, to give above and beyond, to constantly put myself in a position of, burnout or martyrdom or something like that. And that's something that I've been talking about with the beautiful women in my life over these past 2 days. And if this resonates with you, and if you feel like you're a person that does often go above and beyond and cares, that little bit more, obviously that's a beautiful trait, and I admire and I applaud that. And that's probably why we've come into each other's energy field. But I think for 2021, if we've learned anything, it's that burnout is not a vibe. Burnout is not sexy. Burnout is not cool. And what's really important is looking after ourselves. So I think if this is you, and if there are elements of this, I would just maybe encourage you after this to just have a think about those relationships, the relationships in your life, what you get from them, what you give to them. And if you have got any of these kind of unbalanced or energy drains or overgiving type dynamics in your life, just have a think about how they can be changed. Maybe it needs to be speaking to those people. Maybe it's not appropriate. Maybe it needs to be withdrawing. Or maybe it needs to be finding ways in which you can still maintain those relationships but keeping your boundaries. So saying to that person, maybe I can come to yours next time. Or saying, no, I can't actually babysit your kids tonight. I'm really tired and I just need a bit of downtime. But not as an excuse, but simply as this just is what it is. This is what it is. This is what I want, and this is what I've chosen. I'm making it sound like it's easy. It's not easy. It's a work in progress, and we've all got to, work on this. But I think it's something worth focusing on for 2021. And if you've experienced this yourself, if you've got any tips, I'd love for you to share, because at the end of the day, as I always say in many of my posts and my videos, we're all in this together, and every problem that we've had, someone else has had it and someone else has transcended it. So sharing this flow of information is always positive.